Those who fight may lose. Those who do not fight have already lost Bertolt Brecht. But Jujutsu Kaisen was never truly about winning or losing. Chapter 18 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Module is about something far more uncomfortable. The exact moment when running away stops being an option. When every escape route closes and you are forced to decide who you will be from that point on. So stop for a moment, take a deep breath. Sei für. Welcome to the Nerdverse. This chapter is not about what can or cannot be overcome. It is about barriers that must be crossed regardless of desire, and that is precisely why it works so well from a narrative standpoint. The fight continues. Rika charges at Maru with overwhelming force, smashing through stone as if the environment had no weight. The pressure is constant, relentless. This sequence is intercut with a visually striking scene of Maru among the trees, the eye on his forehead highlighted as he channels cursed energy. But despite all of that, the true core of the chapter is not there. The real focus lies elsewhere. Mahoraga versus Dabura. And here I ask you a sincere question. What truly defines a warrior? Is it brute strength, natural talent, or that specific instant when you realize there is nowhere left to run on? Even so, you choose to stay. Because chapter 18 is not about techniques, rankings, or who hits harder. It is about that exact moment, the breaking point, the moment when escape is no longer an option, and when that happens, everything changes. What we see in this chapter are not merely visually impressive fights. We see minds breaking, identities being forcibly stripped away, characters being pushed into roles they spent their entire lives trying to avoid. Mahoraga does not fight, Maru is pushed to the absolute limit of body and consciousness. And Dabura is forced to confront something he spent his entire life avoiding admitting about himself. So, leave a like right now, because this analysis goes far beyond the surface. And comment below, does strength without purpose really have any value? The chapter begins the way Jujutsu Kaisen likes to begin, with no warning, no warm-up, no mercy. Two battles unfold at the same time, but with completely different meanings. On one side, Maru versus Tsurugiya, technical, strategic, almost mathematical confrontation. On the other, Mahoraga versus Dabura, a fight that quickly stops being a battle and becomes a judgment. And here we reach an essential point. Jujutsu Kaisen was never about winning. It has always been about the cost of staying alive after victory. In the fight between Maru and Tsurugi, the narrative reveals something fundamental: the ring. An artifact that once belonged to Yutero Katsu and that, after decades saturated with cursed energy, has become an absurdly powerful tool. But the most important detail is not the object itself. It is who uses it. Tsurugi possesses no cursed energy of his own. He bears a heavenly restriction. The power he manifests does not originate from him. It is borrowed. And when power is borrowed, the risk does not weigh the same. Fear does not take hold. Responsibility disappears. You simply execute. Maru understands this quickly. He realizes he is not facing an individual, but a function. A living tool, efficient, obedient, and empty. The blows distort space, the ground shatters, stones float, the scenery loses all logic. Even so, Tsurugi moves naturally. Not because of technical genius, but because the power driving him demands no adaptation, only obedience. And that is precisely where Maru differentiates himself. When the pressure reaches its limit, Maru does something deeply symbolic. Flowers bloom beneath his feet, roots spread, plants grow in a matter of seconds. An entire forest takes over the battlefield. It is not merely aesthetic, it is visual discourse. While Tsurugi uses borrowed power to destroy everything around him, Maru creates, cultivates, transforms the space into something alive. It is not a desperate attempt to win. It is a clear affirmation of identity. Maru does not fight to prove he is stronger. He fights to prove he is still human. And this is one of the central ideas of Jujutsu Kaisen. When power grows too great, it demands something in return. Usually, your identity, the narrative then cuts. Mahoraga stands atop a building, looking down at Dabura. This position is not merely physical, it is symbolic. Mahoraga does not see Dabura as an opponent, but as something to be adapted to. Dabura attacks with light, absoluci, techniques, blows at should decide the fight in seconds. Nothing works. Mahoraga does not react. No damage. No hesitation. The Dharma wheel turns once, then again, then once Mari. And in that instant, Dabura understands his essence has ceased to function. What defined his identity as a combatant simply no longer exists within that fight. The massacre begins. Precise, brutal, surgical blows. Dabura tries to resist, tries to understand, but he is completely overwhelmed. Then the chapter slows down. Amid the violence, we are thrown into the past. Dabura was always strong, too strong. He won effortlessly. He succeeded without trying, and precisely because of that, he never belonged. He was not weak. He was displaced. Dabura never truly wanted to fight. He never wanted to prove anything. He always fled from real confrontation because, deep down, he was afraid of what would happen if he accepted that role. Daron, his friend, understands this better than anyone. He says something essential: Dabura is not a common warrior. He is someone who does not desire war. And paradoxically, that places him above many others. But Dabura never had the courage to accept that. Back in the present, Mahoraga continues crushing him, punch after punch, no haste. New anger until something changes. Dabura grabs Mahoraga's fight, and then he shatters the blade of positive energy. Silence takes over. Not even Mahoraga understands what has just happened, because in that moment, Dabura accepts something he spent his entire life avoiding. There is no longer any escape. He no longer fights for pride, nor for recognition, nor for talent. He fights because someone needs to remain standing. He abandons refined technique, abandons elegance, abandons safe distance. If light no longer works, then he fights with his body, with impact, with will. He pushes his body beyond human limits, beyond logic, beyond his own survival. He forces his cursed energy into territory he never dared to explore, as if speaking to Duran, as if his friend was still there. Dabura finally admits, now he will truly fight. The narrator makes it clear that something never before explored by humanity is about to happen. A man who moves at the speed of light. The fight ceases to be physical. It becomes existential. This chapter is not about who wins. It is about who accepts the fight. Mahoraga represents the inevitable. Maru represents creative resistance. Dabura represents the man who ran his entire life until he could no longer do so. And perhaps this is the question Jujutsu Kaisen leaves for all of us. When there is nowhere left to run, who will you be? If this analysis resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with that friend who loves Jujutsu, because we do not just watch fights, we understand their impact. Thanks for staying until the end, and I will see you in the next dive into the Nerdverse.